Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how I converted this cargo trailer into a traditional Finnish sauna. I've wanted to build a sauna for quite some time. Maybe it's because of the bitter cold Wisconsin winter, the extensive health benefits, or just the rejuvenation one feels after a session. Either way, I had my mind set on building one. Option 1 was to buy an infrared sauna kit. Wait a minute, let's take a brief moment for sauna education. First of all, how do we pronounce this word? Let's ask some Finnish people.
Are you pronouncing the word sauna correctly in Finnish? It is sauna, not sauna or sana in Finnish.
So you mean to tell me pronouncing the word sauna isn't just a way that Americans say it when they're trying to be funny? Alright, sauna it is. Thanks for clearing that up for us, Varpo. Go give her channel a follow. Now, what actually is a sauna? According to the International Sauna Association, a sauna is a wood-paneled room with stepped benches, a stove with stones, with a temperature of about 80 to 105 degrees Celsius, measured at a height of about 100 centimeters above the level of the upper sitting bench, and low humidity, which is briefly added by throwing steam. Okay, to sum that up, it's a wood-paneled room with temperatures over 175 degrees Fahrenheit with a few benches that gets you above that stove that has stones on it that you can throw some water on to make steam. That is a sauna. So, does that mean an infrared sauna is a sauna? No, it doesn't. Does this mean that a steam room is a sauna? No, it doesn't. And let me tell you, the Finns take this very seriously. So if I wanted a traditional Finnish sauna, I had some work cut out for me. The next point I had to figure out is where to put it. I wanted to have the ability to use it up at the cabin, but also prefer to incorporate it into a multi-day weekly routine at home. This left me with only one option: a mobile cargo trailer build. Saunas are recommended to have 7-foot ceilings and a changing or cool down room. My initial thought was to use a 6 by 12 foot cargo trailer, as this could be accomplished. However, after seeing that any decent one was well over 10 grand, yeah, that wasn't going to happen. So I settled for a much cheaper, new, Hallmark 5 by 8 foot trailer. The ceilings would only be 5 foot after building was finished, and there would be no changing or cool down room, but these are compromises I was willing to make to save thousands. Now that we're educated and have a plan of action, let's move on to the build. Step 1 is to remove all the OSB from the walls. A sheet metal covering is placed here to protect some of the wires and electronics that are in the door. This will be removed and then replaced once the build is finished. I removed the factory vent at this point and noticed that I can repurpose it for an upper level sauna vent. I then removed the rest of the OSB, leaving only the floor panel. We're left with 1-inch metal studs, 2 factory vent spots, and metal plates that were installed to reinforce where the trailer hooks are to strap equipment down. Remember how we talked about the freezing Wisconsin winters? Yeah, time to move on to insulation. We will get as cold as negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit to as hot as 100 degrees Fahrenheit. In fact, this build took 3 weeks, and you will see me wearing 3 layers on one day, and the next day a cut-off shirt. Insulation is very important here. I've chosen to insulate with 1-inch R6 foil-faced polyiso foam board. I think it's important at this point to discuss off-gassing of toxic chemicals. Off-gassing is when chemicals are released from an item into the air. Now, this is a concern in saunas because the high temperatures can result in a consequence of this. Some sauna builders will state never to use foam insulation in a sauna. Now, I do agree that foam in a sauna is typically not a good idea, but the type I'm using has a safe heat limit up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, which we're not going to hit, and has an aluminum foil vapor barrier between the hot room and the foam for another added layer of protection. So it passes my safety concerns. It's a good rule of thumb, though, to not have any items that may off-gas dangerous chemicals, such as plastics, in the hot room. Keep them on the external side of the vapor barrier. I cut out exact pieces of the foam board with a razor knife, and so delicately put them in between the studs. I finished up the ceiling insulation, then taped all the seams and cuts with foil face tape that is rated to be safe up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. This step is very important to maintain a continuous vapor barrier. We now had a very good looking insulated cargo trailer. It was now time to build the vents. The factory vents were only 3-inch in diameter, and the smallest vent pipe I could find was only 4 inches, so I expanded the hole with the jigsaw. I used some handy external vents that work perfectly for a trailer since they are sloped. I riveted them to the trailer, then used an adhesive for more security and for a pest barrier. I then placed the internal vent pipe onto the external, taped around the seams, and used the adhesive once more. It is okay to use it here, as it is on the external side of the vapor barrier. It is important to have a vent by the wood stove to feed it oxygen. I also used it on any other gaps that I could find in the trailer. I repeated the same steps for the upper vent as well. Remember how we talked about off-gassing? Yeah, you don't want OSB in the hot room, so I decided to cover it with aluminum sheet metal, then place cedar decking over that sheet metal. You know that old wise saying, measure twice, cut once? I have a better idea. How about we measure once and cut twice? Now that I had half the sheet metal on, it was time to put our first board down. I think this is a good time to talk about what wood can be used in a sauna. It's a common misconception that Western red cedar must be used in a sauna. This isn't true. It's widely used in America, yes, but saunas in Finland do not have cedar. Why? Because these trees don't grow there. So they mostly use spruce or fir. Realistically, you can use any softwood such as pines and hemlock. I chose cedar because when I smell cedar, I think of a sauna, and I really enjoy the aroma it creates. But it's definitely more expensive. I finished up the cedar deck flooring, and now it was time to bring the sauna to my dad's house, as he has all the fancy tools to complete this build. I used 1-inch by 6-inch by 8-foot cedar square edge boards for the walls. I chose not to go with tongue and groove because they were $42 a board when the square edge boards were $15 each. I mean, come on. It was quite the pain in the butt because the screws that we were using to fasten the boards to the studs were 1.5-inch self-drilling wood to metal screws with a Phillips head. They would strip if we didn't drill a pilot hole first, so another very repetitive step was added. This could have probably been prevented if we could have just found screws with a hex head.
One eternity later.
It was actually starting to look like a sauna right about now. The ceiling was arched, so we had to use shims to keep it as even as possible. We started in the middle so it would be even on both sides. We were now working on the bench. Since the ceilings were only 5 feet, we couldn't have a very high foot bench, so we decided on 3 inches. Not completely on the floor, but still elevated a bit to get the user closer to the ceiling. I purchased my wood stove from Big Portage Fabrication, or Portage for you Canadians. Ryan did an awesome job. He built me heat shields on all sides, including the ground, holes to fasten the stove to the floor, and it's fully baffled to prevent sparks from getting into the chimney for safety. I did my first burn outside the sauna to cure the paint and off-gas any chemicals left over. The glass front makes for amazing ambiance while you're taking a sauna. We got the stove set in place, and then it was time to get the chimney installed. Dee installed most of the correct chimney while I had to work, so here's a clip of us putting the wrong one on before he fixed everything. Thanks, Dee. Alright, there's quite a bit of catching up to do here. So, it's been a little bit. We've gotten a lot of work done on this that I didn't record because it was super dark and rainy and gross. I just didn't want to get the camera out, but this is where we're at now. We open up the back, and we've got a door on here. And this is where the window would be, but we'll get to why there's not going to be a window there. We built the door with the same cedar that we used everywhere else. I used the rough sawn on the outside and the clear side on the inside. It's just, I believe they call it a board and batten door, where we make the Z and put it together, and it's nice and sturdy. We have spring-loaded latches to hold it closed, so there's not a mechanism to keep it closed. I can't think of the word right now, but we have 3 of the latches on here, and then to keep it closed, we have magnets that are pretty strong, and it does pretty well, but I bought 2 more that we're going to put on today as well, so we can make sure that that stays closed. So it's basically just a cabinet door that we push open, and it holds itself closed. The stove is installed and secured down. Dee put the chimney in on a day that I was working, so he did that all himself with putting in a damper as well. I'll get up on the trailer and show you guys what it looks like up there, but he did a fantastic job on this. Bench is done, and I'm still going to replace this because, let's be honest, this is a terrible design here. So what we're going to do today is put a piece of insulation fully over here, and then we're going to put cedar across to close it off, and then I've got some siding that we're going to put up on the outside, and we have a sauna. We have a sauna, then we are done. So we're going to do the first burn after we do that to burn off any type of chemical or anything else that might be in here. Creaky door. And take a look at the exhaust up here, the chimney pipe. So that was all Dee's doing. I didn't do any of that. All right. You were included after getting irritated that I tried to build a sauna?
Sauna.
You were irritated? Okay. We're doing our first burn. It is not fully done, but it doesn't matter because it's closed enough to have our first one. That looks really cool on the camera, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me put the... So we've got the lights. Obviously, we're going to put that, secure them better, but there's a nice glow underneath the deck. And then next to the fire, I've got some cement board here for spark protection. Oh yeah, it might be hard to see on camera, but I mean it's on. First burn going on in the sauna. Right, Dee?
Yep, we gotta get the heavy jacket and hoodie off.
It's like 35 degrees.
But it's like
But We'll see.
25 outside, so.
So we'll see how long it takes to warm up, but we've got our first burn going. It was still the first burn at this point, so we didn't want to be in here long due to any off-gassing, but we had to check it out quick. That is hot. A goal I had was to have this sauna complete by the time deer hunting started, and sure enough, we finished it a few days before, so we got to enjoy it at deer camp.
You have a little broom?
How's it going in there? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below.